Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 436th film from 2021. It's the Turkish thriller called Grudge, or in Turkish it's called Kin. It's directed by Turkan Derya and stars Yilmaz, Erdogan and Yigit, Uzumoglu. There we go. I'm Jesse. I'm your host. Thank you for joining me today. As always, if this is a film you haven't seen and you're interested in checking it out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because as we go, I am going to spoil this film. So we start the show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one's about a detective who gets embroiled in the hunt for a murderer when it is he who has committed the crime. There's a little bit of a spoiler in the Fast Flicks, I apologize, but I have said spoilers. So as we go through on Netflix, their logline for the film is: ahead of a promotion, a police chief becomes embroiled in a fatal incident and uncovers a grudge-fueled plot that threatens his associates. There you go, they've used the word embroiled as well. I wrote mine Fast Flicks before I read that, so there we go. Interesting. The translations around the world. So obviously English, the title is Grudge, and that refers to grudges that characters in this film may have. The direct translation of the word kin from Turkish is hatred. So there you go, an even stronger word than grudge. But in Spanish, it's called rancor. In Portuguese, it's called collateral damage. In Czech, it's called spite. In German, Hungarian, and Croatian, it's called resentment. There we go. These are all words that mean the same thing. In Japanese, it's called at the very end of hatred. Bit too long. In Polish, it's called harm. In Romanian, it's called strife. In Russian, it's called hidden evil. That sounds more like a horror film than a thriller. In Chinese, it's called the prosecutor caused the trouble. There we go, very blatant. In Ukrainian, it's called insult, and in Vietnamese, it's hatred. There we go. So all similar types of titles. This was released on Netflix worldwide on the 8th of October 2021, and it was filmed in and around Istanbul in Turkey. So there you go, Turkish film filmed in Turkey. The only other thing about this film is that it's a remake of a 2015 Korean film called The Chronicles of Evil. So there you go, that's a little bit of a tie-in. But other than that, there's not much I could find out about this film. So let's get to what the critics and audiences are saying about it. On Rotten Tomatoes, there's only 2 critic reviews, so there's no consensus. They are both fresh, however. The audience, however, though, has it at 30%. That's less on less than 50 ratings, so that's super low. IMDb, there's only 5,200 ratings. It sits at a 5.5 out of 10, so not on the really low side, but not too high. The same with Letterboxd. It sits at a 2.5 out of 5 on 3,500 ratings, but it's been logged by nearly 6,000 people. So not a lot of eyeballs, not a lot of positivity, not massive negativity. What are my early thoughts? What do I think about this one? It sort of hooked me. I was into this one. I wanted to see what was going to happen. I thought it looked good. I thought the performances were good. It felt like a well-rounded film that kept me on the edge of my seat throughout. So some positives from me for this one. So let's get into the crux of the film. The director of this film is Turkan Derya. As mentioned before, 17 directing credits, a lot of TV and miniseries. Hadn't heard of any other of his work. That is okay. So the characters in this film, this is tricky. There's not a lot of development realistically, and I guess we start with the main protagonist, Harun, who is who we follow, the audience we follow throughout, and he's been awarded the Police Officer of the Year for his work, and his team celebrate his success with him, and it's very clear that they'll do anything to look out for him, to protect him. They look up to him, and I think that's where they set that up, that he's a good cop. However, when someone tries to kill him, he kills this person back, and he starts to try and cover his tracks as his team is set to investigate and track down the clues, and this is where that moral ambiguity, I guess, of is he actually a good cop, and what has he done in the past possibly, and why is he not just coming forward with what actually occurred throughout the film, which I'm probably going to mention quite a bit as we go. Harun's boss, his name is Savat. He's obviously very trusted by Harun. He always seems to cop the flack from above, and he's the one that puts his trust in Harun to run the police department and get results that are needed throughout. Harun's also obviously looking like he's going to be promoted, and Savat constantly tells him to keep low for a while until that promotion. So I guess that plays in the background too. The other police officers on the force that are worth mentioning, Tunkay. Tunkay is this rookie cop who obviously looks up to Harun, or shown to look up to Harun, that starts to suspect his involvement in the crime early on because he finds this lapel, or I think it's not a lapel, whatever it is, the pin that you put on a tie at the crime scene. And every time Harun tries to cover his tracks, he seems to be in the background watching what's going on. But it looks like Harun trusts this guy because he's off, like, Tunkay is often at their house. He goes to teach Harun's son Aslan how to ride a bike. So this is a trusted, not only partner, but colleague for the police force. And Yadigar is another one who trusts and looks after Harun and Tunkay. He's, I guess the top lieutenant is the one that gets out and does the groundwork, but he's in on the dark on everything and sort of just does what he's told. And I guess he gets quite upset when he feels like he's been betrayed. And this is heavy spoiler territory, and so pause and come back if you need to, but this is by Tunkay. The only other character I'll mention is this character called Gil. She's a presence late on screen. She captivates with what her motive is in I guess, the one big scene that she has throughout this film. Let's talk about some actual scenes. What scenes worked, what didn't work. The things that worked, there's these shots of a body hanging from a crane. Super impressive, well shot. I thought that was good. Yadigar, he's quizzing Tunkay on hitting the gym and how are the ladies going. I thought that was the one sort of humorous moment in this film that had me chuckle a little bit. Tunkay, he goes to Harun's house and he sits him down and talks about his admiration for him, but also acknowledges of what happened to the taxi driver and how he knows of the murder that occurred. I thought it was well played out, provided in the evidence, left it there, said, I'm not going to rat you out. I just thought that was really well played. And this Gul chick, she rocks up to the cop shop. She only wants to speak to Harun. The camera work in the interrogation room, in and around and up and down the table, was super cool. And then her reveal that she knows that he killed the taxi driver, and on her way out, she threatens to drop a video of the murder on social media and says to Harun, don't forget to like my post. That was a good little scene too. The things that didn't necessarily work, there's a chase scene at the guy's house where Harun shoots him in the leg and he falls off the rooftop. It just went on and on, went on too long, needed a tight edit. Sevat, the boss, he goes for a swim and he's making a big deal about it in the office, and he's like, I'll drive myself, cancel my driver. It was just a bit laughable, a bit too obvious that something bad was going to happen. And then when Sevat does die, Harun's crying over him. I thought that was that one poor acting moment for the character. Other than that, he was pretty good throughout. And the whole Harun getting arrested and dragged off in front of his kid at the end, it felt a bit silly. And again, I'm going to talk some more about that soon. All right, the themes, the ideas of this film. So obviously the idea of revenge and grudges plays throughout this whole film. That's the title of the film. But also that idea of overcoming past decisions or dark pasts. And sometimes this is let down through the Turkish systems of justice or policing, or the powerlessness of the people, the everyday person who sometimes just have to do whatever work people give them or what they can do to get by. They never get to choose what they want to do because of their situations. And the idea too of defending the innocent people too, because everyone is innocent until proven guilty. There we go. What else did I take away from this film? I think if you can check out the poster for this film, especially on Letterboxd, it's one of the better film posters I've seen for Netflix. The crane shot that I mentioned before that plays a big role in this film, it sort of sits in the Turkish letters KIN of kin in red, with the body representing the letter I in the middle, and everything else is grayscale in the background. It looks so good. Such a great poster. If you get the chance to check that one out. Some questions, some pondering, some thoughts, some ideas to sort of wrap this show up. I think it's very hard to get past the fact that this whole film hangs on the thread of Harun acting in self-defense almost and killing this person because he was attacked first. And when this occurs, he has 112, the police force, on the dial ready to go, but then he gets a phone call about a promotion, so he doesn't actually call the police. But even at that stage, why couldn't he just come forward and explain it and get the team to help support him and work out why someone's trying to kill him? That didn't help the plot, I guess, when that's the whole idea of the plot. And that idea too of holding grudges. I mean, it's tricky. If you hold a grudge like this set up throughout this film, that's quite a big grudge. I mean, I'm sure people hold smaller grudges, but it's a massive grudge in this film. And then that idea too of how is there a camera in the middle of the woods recording Harun killing this taxi driver from the trees? That also didn't make sense. And this Gul female character, she was such a drug addict. My thoughts were, how did she manage to carry this big dead taxi driver body up to the top of the crane in the middle of the city without anyone seeing it. It was a little bit laughable, and I think I've probably put that much better way than Harun asks her in dialogue, which I was quite shocked with how the character said it out loud. But you've got to think possibly that Tunkay did this plot-wise. The poison by soup, I thought that was pretty old school. That was an interesting sort of motive. And I've got to talk about this final scene at the end of the film of Harun sitting at a dock and talking to a young man. So this is after he's been arrested, walked off by the police with his son watching. I had a bit of a what's going on here moment, and it sort of took me out of the end of the film quite a bit. And I guess afterwards, looking into the film and online, there's a lot of articles where it sort of says that this is Harun proving that he's done his jail time or he's escaped jail time. He got off from the crimes, but he never got promoted, and that he's still working with younger police officers to guide them. But I was a little bit confused by this. I read this in multiple articles that this is the ending of the film, like a positive ending, but it confused me because I always watch films with subtitles, and in the subtitles it literally says that the character speaking to him by the docks is Tunkay, and they comb his hair over a little bit to make it look like, it's the same actor that plays Tunkay, but to me, I think this is a flashback of him working with Tunkay when he started, and that Harun actually did get locked up, and he's been locked away, and he's been removed from his family. I just found that so confusing, that just that little subtext of having subtitles with a character name and the dialogue being said gives a much more, unless Netflix have done a poor job with the subtitles. That's my interpretation. I'd love to hear what yours is, but otherwise, I'm ready to wrap this one up. We give the films a rating out of 5 on this show, and for me, I think I'd recommend this for anyone that likes a good, solid detective thriller type film. Like, it's nothing new, but I think it does it well enough to deserve a bit of a viewing, even if you sort of can predict where it's going, and some of the moments are a bit cringeworthy. It's still a solid film. 3 out of 5 for me. I'm a fan of this one. We have socials. We have Instagram. We have X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Facebook. Give us a follow. Give us a like if you can. The question for this week that I wanted to pose was a quote from the film. This is a statement from Harun, and I just wanted to know, do you agree? Do you think, or do you like it almost? He says, "It's easy to be good. It's a lot harder to be just." There we go. Being just is such a tough thing to be, especially when you're trying to take on multiple sides to work out how your actions are going to turn out. So I like that. What do you think about that statement? Let us know. We're back next week. Next week, we have another international film from 2021. We are still in Europe for this one. We're going to Italy. So we've got an Italian drama called My Brother, My Sister, or in Italian, it's Mio Fratello, Mia Sorella. This is directed by Roberto Capucci and stars Alessandro Preziosi and Claudia Pandolfi. So give that one a watch. Come back next week. Jump on board with me for that. As always, thanks for hanging out for this one, and I will see you next week.